Welcome back to Around the NHL, presented by Chase. Michelle Gingras alongside Anson Carter, and we now welcome in the radio play-by-play voice of the Edmonton Oilers, Jack Michaels. Jack, thanks so much for coming on the show today.
Thank you, Michelle. I'm excited to get this going, finally.
It's an exciting week. We are very, very excited for, what hopefully is the light at the end of the tunnel in the home stretch here, but to start getting some games underway. But before we jump in, we were doing a little bit of research, and we saw that you spent some time in Anchorage, Alaska. I'm just curious, what was that experience like in your career, and does it make Edmonton feel like New York City in comparison?
Well, sometime, 8 years. And as Anson will tell you, those minor league seasons can add up in a hurry unless you get moving. It was, you know what, I wouldn't trade the experience for a lifetime. It was quite interesting. Both my kids were born there, and you know what? Anchorage is kind of a mini Edmonton in the sense that Alaskans are very quick to point you where the airport is the minute you start talking about the weather, the fact that their summer is about 2 weeks long. I will say this, for those who enjoy golfing and outdoors and things like that, there is nothing that quite prepares you for being on the first tee at 11:15 p.m. That I can guarantee you. That is a unique experience unto itself.
I was in Alaska once, Jack, and this was at Michigan State University. We had a college hockey tournament there, and I ended up getting sick. I had 8 points in 2 games, and I had mono, and our coaches didn't believe me until they rushed me to the hospital, and that was the end of my trip.
I'll tell you what, though, you wouldn't trade it for the 8 points, I bet, Anson.
Right.
You better believe it.
So we're curious now, obviously you're in Edmonton and players have started to arrive to the hotels, and what's the general feel like in the city, and how is this city just poised just to be a host city for the playoffs?
You know, it's unique, Michelle. As Anson will tell you, there's nothing like springtime and Stanley Cup playoff time in Edmonton in terms of you come out of the games, it's still daylight out. The city's, got a real positive vibe, especially, the one thing that's changed is, of course, Rogers Place is now downtown in the heart of the city. And what's changed and what will change about this, Michelle, is there's not going to be that interaction. There's not going to be that buzz and vibe and mass gatherings. And, the one thing up here is that people have been kind of socially distanced to a point where you just haven't seen it. Like in a lot of downtowns. I'm not quite sure what it's going to feel like once it gets going because of the fact there is a bubble. And you know what? Considering the news that we've seen coming out of Major League Baseball today, it's probably a good thing that the National Hockey League and NBA have gone the bubble route. I'm not sure what it will be like in terms of the vibe of the city. I'm not sure how the city will necessarily change. But what I can tell you is that I think this city is very proud that it's here and very proud that its province has taken care of its people to the point where an entire league feels safe in coming here. I think there is some pride in that.
Good luck trying to keep those Edmonton fans out of the bubble. You're right, Jack. It's like game day, Michelle, people are having adult beverages at 9 o'clock in the morning getting fired up. You could feel that buzz in the whole city. But, Jack, I want to talk about the series coming up, the Oilers against the Chicago Blackhawks. Break it down for me. Do the Oilers have a chance? Do you think Chicago has a chance? What are the big factors going in that series?
As I look at it this way, Anson, it's an 11-point separation during the regular season. Yes, Chicago took 2 of the 3 regular season meetings, but both of those wins came at the end of Oilers' road trips where they'd won the first 3 of a 4-game trip and the first 2 of a 3-game trip. You played in the league for years. There is one guaranteed loss night in the NHL, and that's at the end of a road trip where you're previously unbeaten. It is tough to get that last one. I look at it this way. Corey Crawford's got to play number 1. I don't think Chicago has a chance. If Crawford isn't there, the Blackhawks just have no business in this series, and I'll tell you why. The key is McDavid and Draisaitl on different lines, because whether it's McDavid or Draisaitl, Jonathan Toews can't play them both. So what you're asking is either 19-year-old Kirby Dach in his first season to deal with probably the league's MVP, or Dylan Strome, who has the offensive skills but not the boots to keep up with either Draisaitl or McDavid at the other end.
The Edmonton organization obviously endured a terrible tragedy this season, the sudden tragic death of Oilers' young player Colby Cave. What impact has this had, not just on the team, but also the community at large?
We just had a scrimmage. The Oilers did, a Colby Cave scrimmage. Everyone wore the number 12. Colby's widow, Emily, and it still sounds strange to use those words when you're talking about a 25-year-old NHL player who's just getting his career going, but her family was there, and I don't know whether you've seen online the picture. As a group, they kind of saluted Emily, who was seated in the corner of the downtown community arena, which is adjacent to Rogers Place where that scrimmage was held. I can tell you this, and Anson can speak to this National Hockey League fraternity better than I can. People say, well, he only spent 44 games with the Edmonton Oilers. Anson will tell you there is no such thing as a fringe National Hockey League player. You're either in the NHL or you're out. And let me just share one pivotal story, and Anson can empathize with this because he knows when a leadership group has this kind of welcome. I remember Colby came in directly off a call-up from the American League, and it was one of those situations where he hops on the bus and he gets in late from the AHL the night before, so not everyone has had a chance to see him. And no less a figure than Darnell Nurse, who along with McDavid and Draisaitl, those are the core pieces of this team. That's the leadership group. And Colby had come off, I'm sure you guys probably saw the clip in December, that big American Hockey League knockout, and there was a good back and forth between the player he fought, and everything was okay. And, he got on the ice, and I remember got on the bus, and Darnell gave him a big greeting. Hey, Caver, watch out, everybody, and it was just a big greeting for a guy who'd only spent, maybe 20 games with the team, and it just gave you a glimpse into what a special thing being an NHL player, being part of that locker room. It's something that I can never know because only players know, and that's my default is always players know. Players knew what kind of guy Colby Cave was, and that's why I think he'll be a source of inspiration as we move forward here.
All right, Jack, great stuff. Thank you so much for coming on the show today. We really enjoyed having you, and good luck in Edmonton.
A pleasure, Michelle. Thanks so much.
That'll do it for us for today on Around the NHL, presented by Chase. Tomorrow, we have Evander Kane joining the show. You won't want to miss it. That's when Around the NHL returns. You ready, Anson?
I'm ready. Let's do it.
Yay!
Hello, Michelle. Hello, Anson.
What's up, Each? How you doing?
Hi, Michelle. Hi, Anson. How are you? Anson, we need you on the third line, bud.
Yeah, third line. I'm not coming back unless you put me in the first line. Never mind the third line.